not going to get that championship back by shaking hands, being best friends with the champion. No, I slapped him right in his stupid face. I slid out of the ring, and I let him know my intentions from that point.
He calls me down to ringside, and we're starting to chat. He's just saying how I'm doing, all that. And then at the very end, he's like, "Hey, you got a match?" I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have a match." I was like, "That's not normal. Like, why?" And he's like, "You'll be fine. You're gonna do good. You're gonna wrestle Aleister Black. It's gonna be great." I was like, "All right, cool, yeah."
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, for frequency's sake tag team champions of the world, the Wizard CZ, and never wrong, Nick Bull. Like the guy just said with the great pipes, with the Wizard CZ, here's never wrong, Nick Bull. Woo, woo, woo! How we feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good, Nick. How are you?
I'm feeling good. I got a little pick me up. Not gonna lie, we're going later from our normal record time, and then we actually backed it up a couple days this week since we watched Revolution together on Sunday night, the show that we're recording. We didn't want to go live right away. I've been feeling it the last couple days. I got my caffeine boost just now. I wish my coffee kicked in this morning, like that this morning for me, because I feel rejuvenated. I feel ready to talk about the Revolution pay-per-view, Sting's last stand, the bittersweet night that it was.
Oh, I agree. I do want to. I know he's not watching the show, but Tony Khan, shame on you for not having any respect for our normal schedule and for forcing us to not be consistent on our Sunday night routine. But that's why we're here Tuesday to talk all things Revolution. Nick, let's just pull the Band-Aid off right away. What did you think of the show as a whole?
Show as a whole, I thought was an excellent show. It was a good time. To everybody their own. If you want a 5-star plus match, it's probably on this card. We'll talk about that in a little bit. If you want the hardcore style match, it's going to have blood and glass, it's on this show. If you want women's wrestling, it's on this show. You want tag team wrestling, it's on the show. AEW, what they've prided themselves on has been this buffet of delivering the best of the best and the best of each weight class, different stipulations and stuff like that. And I thought when we start talking about this card, Revolution top to bottom, is it the greatest pay-per-view of all time? No, but I think it's definitely one of their top shows when you look at the matches, the structure, and what all was going on the show.
I agree. Top to bottom, it was put together very well. I mean, I'll be honest, they bottom loaded the show with what I consider are the best matches. They didn't front load it, they back loaded it, which I'm not upset with. They make you sit and wait to get to the cream of the crop, so to speak.
Well, they backloaded it. The cream of the crop rises to the top. They backloaded it. You're not lying about that. That's pretty obvious. And maybe we can talk about it later when we get to that part of the show. We can talk about it now. The match that benefited the least from this stacking, the match that was the quiet match of the night for me, the forgotten match when I go back and look at this card. We'll talk about that a little later.
For sure. I mean, the show started off really well. I think they picked the right match to open it. Everyone's new dad, Christian Cage, defending his TNT, sorry. I get those mixed up. I shouldn't. I know better. But defending against Daniel Garcia, I can say a lot about Daniel Garcia. The man is really coming into his own. He's got a lot of star potential, and this match was a showcase of that, even in a losing effort. I don't think he was hurt by the loss because Christian is just on that level where he is on fire as the TNT champion. But this was a fun match. This was a good opener.
I like the opener. I'm a Daniel Garcia fan ever since meeting him at All Out 2021. He was a really cool dude. He had just got done working Rampage on Friday night and was still kind of bruised up from his match. So we kind of talked about that when we met and took a picture, and he's a great guy. I'm rooting for him just from, being a fan and running into him and meeting him. But his in-ring work is improved so much. He's broken away from the Appreciation Society. He still does the dance thing a little bit, but it's not his whole gimmick now. It's part of his gimmick. This match that he had with Christian, I really enjoyed because I looked at this match as a big thank you card from AEW to Garcia. Hey, you're doing a great job with what you're doing so far. You've taken the ball and run with it. We like what you've done. We're going to put you on the pay-per-view with Christian, probably the company's hottest heel right now.
Not only that, but we're going to have you open the show.
And you're going to open the show.
Which is, I don't care who you are. Never discredit the opening match. For a long time, there was that derogatory curtain jerker moniker for the opening match.
But a long time ago, the talent has changed that much. Before, we're so hyped for shows anymore. We want to know what the main event is. I want to know what's going on first. I want to know how you're going to set the tone for the night. That's the big thing I look at. And when I seen this as the tone setter, I'm like, you know what? Garcia's going to get some run in this. He's going to look good. Christian's going to win, but Christian's going to do all he can, and Christian's really going to make Garcia look great, which they did. So I look at this match as a thank you card. AEW thanking Garcia, hey, thank you. You're going to be on a pay-per-view with Christian. It's going to be great. You're going to start the show off, and people are going to love it. So my dog's at the door looking in the window at me like, what's going on? I'm like, what's up?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Christian Cage, obviously accompanied by Nick Wayne, Mama Wayne, and the artist formerly known as Luchasaurus Killswitch. Do you feel like those two, Nick Wayne and Killswitch, are overshadowed by Christian, or do you think it boosts them? Because you don't see as much in-ring time for those two right now as you would if they were not associated with the Patriarch.
I would say they're just fine right now.
Okay.
They're there to take the hits in the title matches right now. That's what they're there for, and they do a really good job of it. They do
really
a big job of it when they come out. So, no, I like that they're all together. I like the icing on the cake is Nick Wayne's mom is now Christian's woman. After all the stuff he said about her, and after all the stuff that he did to her son, and now his son's his stepson. I can't get over the names or the words that pop up on the countdown of Christians. It's like devoted father, loving husband, something like that.
Yes.
It pops up on his countdown, and it already made a guy that everybody hates want to make you hate him more. The guy wrestles in a dickie, for crying out loud. But he's the hottest heel in the company that they have right now. And he went out there and had a fantastic match with Daniel Garcia. If you haven't seen it yet from Revolution this past Sunday night, Sting's last show, they opened the show with Garcia and Christian. Man, I was hoping Garcia would pull it off, but Christian is just on such an incredible streak right now. Christian is such an incredible run. The story that he has is bigger than Garcia's right now. I just had to go to Christian, but proud of my boy Garcia. He is stepping up and making a big deal in the big light when it's time.
You mentioned wanting to see Garcia go over in this. I can agree with that. However, I like Christian still holding the title. I think.
I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset, but I really wanted to see Garcia go over.
Right. But as far as and we'll talk about it. It's a couple matches down the line here, but as far as titles changing hands, I think they made the right switch of titles. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Because the next match is a title match as well. They're opening up real hot. And two veterans of the business, Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson. This was, as expected, a pretty hard-hitting affair, and I was surprised to see Kingston come out with the win. I thought for sure that as Daniel Bryan is leading up to his retirement, Bryan Danielson, sorry, I knew better than that. Stop it.
Knock it off.
As
Penalty
Bryan
box for
Danielson
you.
is, okay. Is that like the is that like the penalty box in the King of the Mountain matches from TNA?
Yes.
Okay, so I got to
Yes.
go sit for 2 minutes.
After a loss or a bad take, you got to go sit for 2 minutes and you got to live the show as it comes back to you. No, we should make that a future stipulation. We won't start that tonight, but I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, but no, I was surprised to see Kingston come out with the win here. I thought for sure with Danielson building up to his retirement, as he's noted, I'm pretty sure he said this is his last year. Am I wrong?
Made it believe that this is going to be like the first half of this year is going to be it for him full time. He would wrestle a handful of matches a year after that.
I would have thought they would have given him a title before his retirement.
I did too. The greatest person that they've had in their company that hasn't had the title is him.
And that's not to say that they won't. There's still obviously time, but
I agree.
This was the perfect opportunity to pull the trigger.
I agree it was. But they didn't, and they make Kingston's run a little more incredible than what people believe it should be or is. Nothing against Kingston, the new Triple Crown that they've reestablished. He's the champion, and I don't think there's a better man right now in the company to carry their championship for their brand or their weight class or their championship, who did the championship for, than him.
Yeah,
he's the everyman wrestler. He's the guy out there with a belly. He's what your uncle would look like and sound like growing up. He's the everyman's man, and he's real about it. And I think that's why Eddie Kingston is such a hit with the fans. He's such a hit with wrestling, with internet wrestling, everything, is because he's a fan, and people know that. They know they're watching a fan, and they know they're going to watch somebody who cares about what they do. And I think that goes a long way. So kudos to Eddie Kingston, tip of the hat for the respect he continues to gain, not by just by being the Triple Crown champion, just by being who he is and how he's really evolved and developed since he's become full-time All Elite. Here's to him on a great match. Here's to Dragon on a nice match. Dragon on a bit of a losing streak here. Dragon losing to Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. Then he lost to Zack Sabre Jr. at a New Japan Pro Wrestling event over in Japan. And then now he just loses to Eddie Kingston. He's on a bit of a losing streak right here. So like to see him pick that back up and maybe get back in the title picture before he actually retires full-time, CZ.
I agree. I completely agree. Let me ask you this.
Put that down on a list somewhere. Watching Bryan Danielson win the championship again as things we want to see in 2024. Write that down. We'll keep a continuing list. I'm dead serious.
Yes.
I need you to write it down because I don't have a pen in front of me.
I will. I don't either, but I will pull up my trusty app.
You're so tech savvy.
Let's not go that far.
Look at you, man. You're podcasting. You got the Wolfpack hat on. Oh, boom.
Hey,
boom,
this
boom,
is an honor.
boom,
This
boom,
is my
boom,
tribute
boom,
to Sting.
And then you've got over your shoulder. Is that Scott Steiner?
Yes, it is. Big Papa Pump. And I can even
back on the Wolfpack.
If we zoom out for just a second here, you can see the big gold behind me as well.
I do see Big Goldie over there looking beautiful.
Bryan Danielson winning a title in 2024. I would love to see it. You would love to see it.
Okay, we both can agree on it.
Along,
we both can agree on it. Boom, agreed upon. Boom. This would be like our mutual wrestling list of 2024. We'll keep track
if you're following along live, or even if you're watching after the fact, send us a message, give us a comment. Let us know what you think about Bryan Danielson winning a title before he retires, or anything we're talking about. We love to be interactive with the fans. That's why we are the wrestling podcast for the fans, by the fans. Card subject to change. Powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoos. We're talking all things Revolution. We're gonna get to the main event at in a little bit. That is why I'm wearing my Wolfpack hat, because Sting was a big part of the Wolfpack. Guess who's back? The Bad Boys of Wrestling.
Who was part of NWO?
Sting!
You thought I was going to do it.
indulge.
You thought I was going to do it first this episode. I got you. I got you.
Give us a little indulgence. This is probably the last time we are going to get to do that.
That's why
So,
I said at the
appreciate
top of the show, this was a great show to review, but it was bittersweet knowing it's Sting's last match. Now we'll talk about Sting's last match in a little bit. You'll see why I say it's bittersweet. But dude, I had chills. I had chills when Shivani said, "It's Sting!" Loved it. I loved every second of it. We'll talk more about that match in a little bit, but it was bittersweet knowing that this isn't going to a guy who's going to unretire 7 or 8 times and have 4 or 5 more last matches. That's it.
Yeah, this is the end.
True to his word, this was it. And the match that he went out on, man, I can't wait to talk about it. I can't wait to get your thoughts on it. I know we watched it live together and had some thoughts during it live, but we'll talk about the Sting and Darby against the Young Bucks here after a bit.
Yeah. The next match that we're going to talk about, we're sometimes we do this in order, sometimes we just pick random matches. We're going in order right now.
I mean, we could be compelled to go out of order, but let's see where this path leads us, and maybe we'll go out of order. We'll see. That's the beauty of this show. You never know. It's card subject to change, brother.
So I need you or our listeners or someone to convince me why half the people in this next match are in this next match. I can give you 4 names of this match that I think deserve to be in a number 1 contendership for Samoa Joe's title that are in the match, and that's Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Chris Jericho, and I will even give the nod to Lance Archer.
Okay.
I don't know. We've got Hook. Okay, I can make a compelling argument with that. Brian Cage. No, I don't think he's got that it factor to be a contender for the world title. Dante Martin. Cool wrestler. I like him. I respect him, but not.
What was I doing? What was I doing during every Dante Martin spot in that match? What was I doing?
I think you should tell her. Yeah,
I didn't want to see him get hurt. I was so worried about him getting hurt after having such a serious injuries. But you're right. The placement of people in this match a little different. Did you explain the stipulations of the match?
I don't know that I understand the stipulations of the match. It's a scramble, but it's not a scramble that I've ever seen.
And the winner gets a future title shot?
Yes.
Okay. So this can be now the bargaining chip between Wardlow and Adam Cole, the Devil Group. They have a big parlay chip they can use, and this maybe leads to, fingers crossed, Wardlow's badass face run where he's destroying everybody like he was once upon a time. Remember when Wardlow was destroying everybody and people were throwing their babies in the air? Like
Remember when Wardlow mattered?
When he gave MJF 25 power bombs, they were throwing their babies in the air to each other. I mean, people were going absolute batshit crazy for that. That's where they need to get him again, and I don't know how you do it.
Can you do it? I don't know that you
I don't know. Can you do it? That's a question. Can you do it? There's another
legit, do you
there's
do you remember
There's something you and I both want to know in 2024. Can Wardlow ever be a legit badass like before? Because I think we would all agree he was a legit badass before. Hit us up on our socials at CSTC Podcast. Hit us up at the Wizard CZ at NickBull55. Can they get Wardlow back to his prior badass reputation, in-ring model that he had? He was kind of the new Goldberg, just going through people. There's a while there he's been coming out and just destroying people, and they've been having ref stoppages. Okay, I can see that for some of those matches. Okay, I'm fine with that. But can they make him as strong as he once was, CZ? I want to say yes, but man, they haven't convinced me. They haven't convinced me yet.
The big question, in my opinion, is can they make Wardlow matter again?
They've got to do they've got to do it as a face, right?
I would hope so. That's his best work when he was just tearing through everybody. It's going to be hard. You know, you look at AEW's reputation. They have a really bad reputation, in my opinion, of making someone super hot and then sweeping them under the rug. Wardlow, Ricky Starks. I could go on. I'm not going to. That could take up the whole hour. but they have a bad reputation of sweeping people under the rug once they're hot. And we'll get to this too. I really hope that doesn't happen with Swerve.
Yeah, good question to ask for him after this match. What next of him? I mean, I guess we can go to that match if you want. If you want to hop out of order here, I was talking about earlier in the show when I thought a match fell victim to how the show was stacked. It's this match right here. It's this triple threat match.
It is. You put it between
when you go back and ask me my first impressions of this pay-per-view, we haven't talked about it yet, but I'm going to talk about the Ospreay Takeshita match. I would have talked about how pleasantly surprised I was with Sting and the Young Bucks match, how it exceeded my expectations. In 3, I might have talked about the main event. The triple threat main event that shouldn't have been a triple threat, but was. Did they throw together a triple threat to get Joe a title defense on a pay-per-view? If that's the case, I'm not going to totally crap on it. They're trying to build some liability some culpability with a new champion. So I can't completely crap all over that. But how the show was stacked, maybe I shouldn't have jumped out of order. I jumped the gun. Boom.
That's okay. No, that's okay. This is
because the third we were on the third match, were we not?
Yes.
Okay. And this match we're talking about now is the 8th match.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, here's the thing.
The crowd was down most of this. Like the crowd was just kind of dead during this match because they knew what was left and what they had to keep in the tank. It's almost
but you have to expect that when you sandwich it between Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita and Sting's last match. You have to expect that. You sandwich the title match in between the 2 most anticipated matches on the card. You're going to have a dead crowd.
Rebook
that match is not going to be memorable.
Rebook it.
I don't know. You don't want to put that as the main event because that'll piss people off because Sting's last match was in the right spot.
Okay, rebook it, and Sting's last match stays in its last spot. Rebook
it. So,
knowing what I know now,
I would put it, here's where I would put it. Move it down 2 times.
I hope we have different answers. Go ahead.
Put it between the tag match with the BCC and FTR and Timeless Tony. Put those 2 title matches back to back. I mean, the BCC FTR, those two teams have a big following. It was a great match, but
okay, what followed the third match we were talking about? What followed?
that was Roddy and OC.
Okay. I would have moved Ospreay and Takeshita up in the card.
Up where?
Towards the middle.
Okay, I can get behind that. Yeah,
Like I would put them match. Who's after Roddy and Orange?
that's the tag match. FTR and Blackpool Combat Club. It's hard. The match, the show was stacked really well. Other than that,
really well, match. You had your world title match in that dead spot. I guess you could have figured something else for the dead spot. Is what we're trying to get at here. It was booked very well from a fan. I wasn't complaining one bit. But you go back and look at it, like the forgotten match on that card now is the triple threat match, and there's a lot to be not remembered about it that I can recall.
Yeah, I mean
all three guys did a great job. Excuse me, my coffee's kicking in now.
I mean, here's the thing. The match was good. You had Hangman tap out to Joe. Question was raised. I don't remember if it was on commentary or if it was among our group here. Did Hangman tap out to cost Swerve, to prevent Swerve from breaking up the end of the match? Storyline wise.
Sure, he could have. Hey, I tapped because I didn't want to see you with the title.
Yeah.
Something like that. Very well could have tapped and said, look, I'm gonna control my narrative this way. Control your narrative. But I like that idea. I like that he tapped on purpose to avoid, so Swerve couldn't hold that. That might be what breaks out in a promo and makes out a good promo. These guys do a pretty good job with promos back and forth, both Swerve and Hangman. They're good dance partners that way. Also good dance partners in the ring. But when they can talk the talk as well, it just adds to it. So you're right. You're probably right. Like he probably did that, out of spite to Swerve.
Nick, I think we need to pause at this point, take our mandatory break. But before we do, I want to just give kudos to this particular pay-per-view. AEW does not always do a good job in their build. Tony Khan likes to throw matches out there and say, here, have this dream match for no reason, or have this mediocre match for no reason. The build to this show, I thought, was very well done for most, if not all, of the matches. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought from a card on paper that looked amazing, I thought that the card delivered. Not once did I say that match sucked. I said several times I would have done this differently, but I'm along for the ride. I'm watching. So I don't agree with everything they do, but I really like how the pay-per-view was put together. Match-wise, how they stacked it. As we sit here and pick apart, we thought they could have stacked a little bit better. They really couldn't have stacked it much better than what they did. So props to them. Props to them for having a show that had some backup and build to it. They had time to build it. It wasn't just a throwaway pay-per-view. Revolution is seen as one of AEW's top 4 pay-per-views. So this is one of the big major pay-per-views. Your next major one is Memorial Day weekend when we're talking about Double or Nothing. Unless something surprise pops up. I don't think a major one is in between.
No major ones, but they did pop one up on us on April 21st.
They did. Is that like Loyalty?
I think it's called Dynasty.
Dynasty or Loyalty?
I think Dynasty, but I'd have to.
I mean, we'll review.
I didn't pay enough attention.
We'll review that on here. Don't get us bothered. But no, the major ones: Revolution, Double or Nothing,
All in,
and all out.
You can also.
Am I missing one?
Full Gear.
Full Gear. Yep, I knew I was missing one. Full Gear. So yeah, you can say four or five major pay-per-views a year, and they've kind of started penciling in where they want extra ones at. But no, I thought they did a great job, top to bottom, from stacking the card and putting a show on. If I can walk away liking at least 3 matches from a show, it's a success to me, just because there's so much other stuff going on, and I liked more than the 3 matches on this card. I'm not saying every show has to have 3 matches to be good, but that's kind of what I'm looking at, you know. And I thought there was definitely a fair share of good matches on this show, on this card.
You have the same rule with pay-per-views that I have for music CDs. If I can find at least 3 songs that I like, then it's a good disc.
And those 3 songs are better. And it's even more rewarding to find those songs that aren't on the radio, isn't it?
Oh yeah, very much so.
That's what I enjoy about that. But maybe we do have the same rule. I don't know. I just like my knee-jerk reaction to a pay-per-view. Hey, was there, were there 3 decent matches on it? Yeah, I can name these 3 decent matches. And then I can start building a case to why I think that pay-per-view is great. Maybe that's bad leg to stand on. That's kind of always what I've looked at in my head when I leave a show or when I'm driving home from a show thinking about.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. That being said, we're going to take a quick time out, pay some dues to our network and our sponsors. We'll be back in just under 2 minutes.
Football season may be over, but for frequency's sake, still has you covered for all your sporting needs. Tune in every Sunday when the best professional wrestling podcast around, Cards Subject to Change, gets you caught up on everything inside the ropes. They won't miss a count with weekly analysis and interviews. More into auto racing? We've got a double dose for you on the track. Tune in to Fast Money with Rod Villagomez each week and win some money with the quickest bets in all of sports. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast, where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your basketball fix? Points in the Paint has you covered, with live shows every other week looking at everything in the association. Backed by popular demand, we have the return of The Payoff Pitch, FFSQC's baseball show, covering you on news around the MLB. If you're missing football, don't fret. Mark and Dan still have you covered in the football lounge. Missing Joe Winkle? Probably not, but he's still here talking sports on Educated Ignorance. Football season might be over, but we've still got you covered. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
For frequency's sake is brought to you by Durham Remodeling, serving the Quad City area's remodeling and repair needs since 1973. Clint's Draft House, grab a bite and a pint. 7th Street, Moline. Lopez, New York-style pizza served up by the slice or pie, Davenport. Lifted Energy, energy drinks, coffee, donuts, and more. #GetLifted. Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles. Sports cards and memorabilia, vintage clothing, hats, pennants, and more. Ryan Allison Tattoo. Step into the vibrant world of tattoos with Ryan Allison. And A Cut Above, offering quality custom woodwork designed specifically around our customers.
Welcome back to the show. I think that's our catchphrase. Welcome back to the show.
I think it is. It's starting to catch on. Welcome back to the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. I am your host, never wrong, Nick Bull. Of course, couldn't do this without my tag team partner and co-champ of the podcasting network, the Wizard, CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
I'm feeling good. We're talking about Revolution, which was a solid pay-per-view effort by All Elite Wrestling. I got to talk about one of my favorite moments, because I've been a big fan of this guy since he was in Ring of Honor, and that's Mr. Roderick Strong.
Yes, sir.
Kudos to him, putting on a hell of a match against Orange Cassidy and walking out with that international championship.
Remember him sitting in the wheelchair for 3 or 4 months, yelling people's names?
Yes.
And getting heat everywhere he goes. Here's a reward for it. Like we talked about Daniel Garcia getting a thank you match from AEW for, the match with Christian Cage. This is that hard work paying off. This is getting rewarded for,
it really is,
for saddling something so silly and stupid, getting it over and making people either cheer for it or boo it. Says a lot. And I know Roderick Strong, you don't hear about him in people's circles when you're talking about best wrestlers today, but he's definitely one of the best workers of today. and I always shout out Roderick Strong. My first ever Ring of Honor show I went to, you were along for the ride. We went to when Ric Flair came to Ring of Honor down in Collinsville, Illinois.
Styling and Profiling.
Styling and Profiling is the name of the show. The opener on that show, Roderick Strong and Jay Briscoe. Go back and watch that if you get a chance, if you're out there in TV land or YouTube land or whatever. That match is phenomenal. And takes me back to where I get Orange Cassidy's character, but if he's going to lose it to somebody, he lost it to somebody who can work, who's believable, and who's earned it. And I can't say that about anybody else other than Roderick Strong. So pumped for him. I'm happy that he got his just desserts. And there was a little development during this match, or was that after this match?
That was shortly after. We have one returning, Kyle O'Reilly. Haven't seen him in a long time, returning from injury. Let me just throw out, he looked like he hadn't slept for 2 months.
Yeah, he looked like he was like an actor in a TV series, somebody who had a sleeping disorder. The big bags under his eyes and sweaty and matted, and yeah, he looked physically disturbed. I hope everything's okay. You hope everything.
Welcome to week 2 of A Moment of Focus with the Feline Phenom. Now the boys are talking AEW Revolution, Sting's last match. When will your last match come? Not necessarily an actual last match, but in life. Are you ready for when that comes? Maybe you should start focusing on what's in front of you, because you don't know when your last match is coming. Take a deep breath. Appreciate the now, because this has been a moment of focus with the feline.
Oh my, JT Energy doing a run-in with his weekly segment there, popping up unexpectedly on us, but strong words from the Feline Phenom. Nick, what do you make of that?
I was focused in there on what we were talking about, and now I can't even tell you what we were talking about because JT's got me.
I'm keeping tabs.
You're keeping tabs?
I know where we were. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, I was just all my attention shifted from wrestling to that, and then my focus was on that. That's where my focus was. So, for a moment my focus was elsewhere.
And that just to me says that our good friend JT Energy was doing his job in that moment of focus.
I think so.
Shout out. You can find our good friend of the podcast and collaborator JT Energy on all socials at DJ Click and Play. You can find him on YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up DJ Click and Play or JT Energy. If you want to Google him, you'll find him there. Want to give a shout out to him and to our other good friend, Mr. Rob Kammerer, host of the MLW Confusion podcast.
Rob Kammerer!
Woo! He just dropped a great interview with JT Energy earlier today as we're live and recording this. So go check that out after you finish our show. Rob did a great job, and they, like they said in their online posts, just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that they could have talked about. We could have talked. We feel the same way whenever JT is on the show as a guest, not just in his weekly segments. But Nick, you and I before Mr. Energy popped in there and made us focus a little bit more. We were talking about Kyle O'Reilly and how ragged he looked, and him coming back after a month-long injury.
Yeah, like I said, I hope it's part of the act. I hope he doesn't have a sleeping disorder or he's healthy and everything's okay. But man, he looked worse for wear. He looked good physically, but in the face, his eyes were sunken in. His hair was, like I said, sweaty and matted back. Yeah, his appearance was a little off-putting. But he's cleared
The
physically.
takeaway, though,
But the takeaway, though, is he's back. The question is, how's he going to align himself with this new group? How deep is his friendship really with Adam Cole, baby? We're going to find out, I believe.
I think so. It'll be interesting to see where this story goes. I just want to point out, and I got to give props to Tribal Chief DJ Jarvis, who pointed this out to me. Kyle O'Reilly is diabetic like I am. And I don't know if you caught, there was something sticking on his arm.
Yep.
That is a blood glucose meter. I have one on my stomach. He has one on his arm. So shout out to fellow diabetic Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know why I thought that was pertinent, but
yeah, I see
there
that
it
too.
is.
I mean, it is interesting. You don't see a lot of wrestlers wearing them.
No, you really don't. And I think that's a good thing to kind of promote awareness for
sure.
For it. It really is.
What did you think of Kyle O'Reilly's return? You've heard me befuddle my way through it. What do you think about Kyle O'Reilly coming back and his look and what this means for Adam Cole and company?
His look was a little off-putting. I will not disagree with you there. But kudos to him. I think I asked you or asked the group we were with on Sunday, where is Kyle O'Reilly? I believe before the show started, I asked that question, and here he is popping up. So maybe I had some kind of psychic connection.
Maybe you knew. Maybe you just knew. You guys had talked, or you guys play Call of Duty or anything online?
Not my style of game.
Okay. I don't know if he plays it either. I was just throwing a game out there.
It's a good as long as it's not Fortnite. I can't get behind Fortnite. But yeah, Kyle, if you're watching the podcast and you play anything online, let us know. I'd be happy to play along with you, download the game. I'm a big gamer. But I don't know. I don't know if Kyle is or not. A lot of wrestlers are. That's pretty cool. Next up on the docket, we've got your boys, Dax and Cash, going against Moxley and Claudio.
Moxley and Claudio, I talked about it, I think, with the group that I had over here at the Highview for the limited screening of Revolution. I said, this is I don't get behind teams a lot that are singles competitors that form these super teams unless I can see they actually can work together and are out there, not making a befuddlery of tag team wrestling and taking it seriously. And that's why I admire Damian Priest and Finn Balor as the WWE Undisputed Tag Team World Heavyweight Champions, because I think that they have really taken it and run. Like, I don't look at them as two singles. I looked at them as two members of a tag team championship and how they flow and how they work together. And the same thing can be said for Moxley and Castagnoli, two pretty much singles megastars, either in WWE or in AEW. Claudio did have the extended, they both were tag champs. Claudio had that extended tag run with Sheamus as the bar. One of my favorite all-time tag teams of two singles guys made up. Loved their gimmick, their intro, loved everything about him. So I always look at Claudio and Ambrose as two singles that can tag with, anybody and be a good tag team. So was really looking forward to this match because I knew it was not going to be a lot of punches pulled, not going to be a lot of fancy stuff. These guys were going to beat the crap out of each other. And they did. And they did for about 20 some minutes. Did they not?
They really did. One thing I took away, usually it is Mox that you see coming away with a cut somewhere on his face or head, and he's bleeding profusely, but not this time.
No, it wasn't. It was Dax.
It was Dax. I mean, Dax has been known to get bloodied up in matches before as well, but not as much as Jon Moxley. And you almost come to expect it in a Mox match that he's going to he's going to bleed, but it's pleasantly surprising when he doesn't.
Were
I
you
personally,
were
Go
you
ahead.
shocked that there was as much outside the ring stuff in this match, or did you think most of it would be outside? I know it was.
Not really. I mean, this kind of match, you had to expect it was going to be a roughhouse match that was just going to go all over the place. Especially with people like Dax Harwood and John Moxley.
Right.
Those two can brawl, and when they brawl, they're going to do it wherever the hell they please.
You're right. Inside, outside the ring doesn't matter. I hope these guys aren't done. This group of four, I like watching them work. I've loved the lead up on Collision, all the stuff that's happened over there. I like the lead into this match. They did a good job. AEW, props to you guys, doing a good job of investing four guys in a storyline and following it up week to week and having a continuous storyline and having a payoff match. I hope these guys run into each other in the upcoming tag tournament that they're going to be having. I think this would be an interesting, semifinal or final match if those guys made it again. I like watching these four in tag team format against each other.
And you bring up a good point there. As long as they are not in the opening round facing each other, I got no complaints. Semifinal,
Right.
final, don't throw them in at each other right away. If it were me booking, I'd have them on opposite sides of the bracket, meet in the middle. Those are the two teams that should be in contention for the titles. Although, I guess you got to throw out some credit for the Bucks.
For sure you do.
As much as I hate to say it, and I know you hate to say it, neither one of us are the biggest Young Bucks fans out there, but they've got to be somewhere in the picture. And I would imagine that if it's not BCC and FTR in the finals, then you're going to see FTR and the Bucks is where I would put my money in that final match for the titles.
Is this where we start talking about the Sting Young Bucks match?
We sure can. I was kind of hoping to save that for the main event, but
okay, let's save that for the main event because we were kind of going there, and I'm like, are we wanting to go there yet? But no, that's cool.
No. I was just bringing that up because that's where I see that tournament going.
Me too.
But
too.
I want to hold off. We want to have the highlight of the night be at the end of the night. That's where the main event should be. So let's talk. Let's move into one of your favorites, Nicholas. Dearest Nicholas.
Dearest
Nicholas. I don't know that there's a filter for us to be black and white in here. I don't think there is. And
that'd be funny if there was. That'd be funny if there was. And then we'd have to start.
Or maybe one of us is black and white and the other is.
One of us has got to start talking like Tony Storm.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
The timeless Tony Storm angle. We love it on here. We're fans of it on the Card Subject to Change podcast. The show is friends of that, fans of that gimmick. Don't get me wrong. They've done a great job with it. I would like to see something sprinkled in, maybe a little bit fresh. I don't know if they do another movie shoot where she's promoting her new movie, or they start introducing the Mariah May character. They have a movie together or something. That's where this is going to lead. But I keep loving the production that they keep putting out, the vignettes, the commercials, everything. I hope they don't stop doing that. Tony's still the champion. They still need to keep putting that stuff out. And I said to myself during that match, I'm like, she doesn't even need this title. She is so over with this gimmick, and this gimmick will get what the fans are invested in it. People get a chuckle out of it, but it's entertainment. But it's amazing how over she is with it. I love it.
The press conference, was it after Full Gear or was it after World's End?
I think it was after
Anthony.
It was after World's End.
The letter she gives she's not on the press conference. She hands a note to Tony Khan. And if you want to go back, look for our World's End episode where we review that, we had Joe the Show Winkle, a fellow member of the For Frequency Sake
Joe
podcast
read it. He
network.
read it in Tony's voice.
He did. Brilliant.
Gosh.
Joe would be joining us tonight, but he had other obligations.
Oh, Joe.
Always love having Joe on because he's the biggest AEW fan I know, and he always gives a good spin on their product.
He minded his P's and Q's the other night out here at the Highview watching the show. So we'll have to have him. We'll have to have him back. He wasn't the complete AEW fanboy that he portrays himself as being, but no, I'm just kidding, Joe. We had a great time. You're welcome here anytime, and I loved having you out watching wrestling, getting your perspective on things. Sometimes I think we forget, CZ, we're old farts, and all these younger guys running around wrestling. It's like, you guys got a lot to tell you about wrestling, but
oh yeah,
I forget wrestling is great. It doesn't matter the age. It brings everybody together, and there's just so much out there. But yeah, those guys are much younger than we are. We're old farts in those guys' eyes.
Oh yeah, 100%. But that's the whole shtick with Tony. I love every minute of it. I don't know. You mentioned the Mariah May. Obviously, they're going to build to where those two have a match eventually. I don't know if I want to see it yet. I want a little more. I want it to keep going.
Get a little. I would like to think you're going to get a little bit more. I mean, they could during this Mariah May. You're hoping they have this match at Double or Nothing. Is that what you're kind of looking for?
That's where I'd put it.
That'd be the time to do it. I would think is Double or Nothing. You want Mariah May. You want her active. You've got her under contract. You want her active, but you also want her healthy for the match she's going to have eventually with Toni Storm. So if you got her on a match watch, if you're thinking about, taking time off, I don't know what they're trying to do, but I hope that it includes her because they went out and signed her. She was kick ass in Stardom from all the clips that I've seen. I haven't watched any tapes, traded any tapes. Can't tell you a lot about Stardom, but I know she was kick ass in the clips that I've seen. But they definitely want to get her to that point. I think to have that feud with Tony. Maybe she's the one that takes the belt off Tony.
The only kink in that would be is if and when Mercedes Moné makes her debut in AEW. You've got to think that when she shows up, which if rumors are true, it's not an if, it's a when, that she's going to be thrust into the title picture pretty quickly.
Yeah, you got to think that she is going to get thrust into the title picture quickly. Just like I think someone's getting thrust into the men's title picture rather quickly too. We can talk about here shortly, but it'll be interesting to see how they keep the women's division, which has long been cannon fodder in AEW, how it's like in the forefront now. It's got a good leader. It's got a good storyline behind it. How long are they going to keep pumping that full of good stuff before the good gets bad and before somebody else needs picked up and needs their stuff pumped out? I don't know. It's just enjoy this while you have it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Enjoy the timeless Toni Storm bits because you don't know how long they're going to be. God, they got to keep pumping them out. I hope they are.
I hope they do. I hope they will. I don't see an end to it anytime soon until you've got to think the timeless gimmick would probably go away after she loses the title. Maybe, but I hope not. I hope it never goes away. I think it's brilliant.
I do too.
Speaking of brilliance, before we talk about the main event, we've got one more match that we haven't talked about, and it's arguably the best match on the card. But that's not to negate the main event, the tag title match. Will, by God, Ospreay.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy. You had to know, looking at this match on paper, when you put Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita together, it's going to be a match.
Yeah, I've only watched this show live, but I told you before we went on the air tonight, this is the first match I'm going to go back and watch.
Can you really go wrong putting Will Ospreay with anybody?
Not right now. I think he's the dance partner that everybody wants. He's the He's the actor everybody wants to make a movie with because they're going to get notoriety out of it. He's something else, and I think he's world champion by All In Wembley, or wins the world championship at All In Wembley.
I think that's where he should win it.
That's where I know Joe Winkle was talking about it the other night. I think you were talking about it in that conversation too, when we talked about when do you pull the trigger on him winning the world championship. And this was a showcase to show you why he is going to be the number one face of this company going forward until, the Kenny Omegas get back, till everybody gets healthy. He's going to be the number one face going forward because the guy can go. So I don't know if he takes it off Joe at All In or takes it off somebody else, but that's when they have to pull the trigger on him. Will Ospreay is as advertised. I've seen several of his matches before. It was the number one match I was looking to on the card. I'm also a big Takeshita fan. I love Takeshita. He's a bigger Japanese guy who can do the flying stuff, but he's also more strong suited, more strong style, a lot of suplexes and whatnot. So I really like his style. So
I do too.
If he would have won this match, I would have marked out for him because I like him too, but I just give the edge to Ospreay here. I don't like the whole Don Callis family member on family member thing. It kind of doesn't make sense. I wish they would have had a falling out or something, or Ospreay would have, turned face at the end of this. I don't know, but take that away from this match. This match is flawless. Maybe the front runner for match of the year for me.
And you mentioned that I was going to bring the same thing up also, the family on family with the Callis family. He's facing Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite tomorrow night. Will Ospreay, another member of the Don Callis family,
and another member of the United Empire as well.
It's a head scratcher to me. Why, unless there's going to be some kind of turn, which in my opinion should have happened Sunday at Revolution.
Correct. Correct. Would have been cool to see it that way. We'll see.
Our friend Stryker chiming in says he feels like they're trying to make Don the wise man of AEW. He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. Could you imagine the wise man with Callis's heat? I know wise man gets heat, but can you imagine Heyman getting Callis's heat?
Oh, look out.
Like that Callis kind of heat. I mean, that's good stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play this on Wednesday night with the Don Callis family angle. Definitely tuning in for that. Ospreay's on the show. You tune in. Ospreay is do not miss appointment viewing wrestling if you like the high flying style, and he's not just all high flying. He wrestles different styles as well. And he's all appointment wrestling, and when he's on here, we will do our best to promote when he was on and talk about the matches when he was on.
I agree. Well, that's it. Let's wrap the show. We're done.
Okay, we're done.
We're done. That's it.
Supper time.
Nothing else.
Supper time.
I mean, there was nothing else to talk about, right?
Oh, I think there's one more thing to talk about.
Oh, that's right. And it's Sting.
Oh my gosh, up in the rafters, it's Sting. Oh, we got to talk about that match, right? And my goodness, the main event, the last match, we had known it was going to go on last, got confirmed on Sunday that it was going to be the last match on the show. We're talking about Sting's retirement match, the AEW World Tag Champs, Sting and Darby Allin, defending their belts in a relaxed rules tornado style tag match against Matthew and Nicholas, the Young Bucks.
Matthew and Nicholas.
Listen, calling them by their name, I don't want to get fined. And you probably, I would say you probably should do the same.
Well, didn't I just do that?
Yes, continue.
I mean, I may have cringed when I said their names. I get it. I understand the gimmick, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. This smarmy douchebag hats and mustache wearing. The whole gimmick leaves a sour taste in my mouth. However, I will give them credit where credit is due. This is at least the second time, in my opinion, that the Young Bucks have done the right thing, being the EVPs.
This may have been the Young Bucks' best match in AEW. And I'll go back to the 6-star match they had with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the belts back before the world ended at Revolution 2020. But the Young Bucks were perfect in this match. I'm not a Young Bucks fan, people. You guys know that. I've said it up and down. I'm not a Young Bucks fan, but they were perfect in this match. This match was perfect for how you involve Sting in all these times. Sting going in at 28-0. Sting has never lost a match in AEW. One of the few things AEW I felt has done a very great thing with is making Sting, booking him so strong. He's not some legend out there hobbling around, but they cater their matches to him and his styles to matches. And I love that. And what they've done, AEW, congratulations. Great job with Stinger's run, how you booked it. You couldn't have booked it any better, in my opinion. And I'm happily saying that because Sting and Darby Allin win the match. But the Young Bucks, kudos to them. They put on a hell of a show. And this will be the second match I go back and watch after I watch Ospreay and Takeshita.
And this match had a little bit of something for everybody. You had nostalgia, you had wrestling, you had hardcore, you had the Young Bucks paying tribute to Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Maybe not directly, but we don't love you. We're not sorry.
We don't love you. We're not sorry. That was good. That was good. I can handle.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I can handle the Young Bucks being like this. I think the Young Bucks, this was how they would be if they could have patched up things with Punk. Like this is the Punk angle we're getting from them now. Like the smarmy a-hole EVPs are going to tell you about it every turn, and they're going to bend all the rules. And that's why I said it was bittersweet. It was bitter. It was Sting's last show, but it was, sweet that he won, that they got the win. That's why it was bittersweet to me. I guess the tag team titles have already been vacated. So now we got to talk about a tag tournament coming up and how they're going to book that. And who will it be in the finals? The Young Bucks and who?
Yeah, good question. My money is on either FTR or the Blackpool Combat Club. The BCC have not held tag team gold, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they have not.
Let's address the elephant in the room in this match. And that is the ridiculous stuff that Darby Allin puts himself through. How was he not dead? Going through the 6 chairs and the glass with no shirt on, back first.
His back looked like pork chops you put on the grill in the summertime. His back was that raw. They looked like pork chops.
Yes.
I know there's deathmatch wrestling fans out there, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you can or can't be a deathmatch champion. Everybody's got their thing. It's definitely not my thing. I understand hardcore matches do get bloody at times, and I understand what death matches are. It's just not for me. But everybody's got their thing. That's cool. I just don't think we need to be seeing Darby Allin's back filleted open on this stage. Striker, crazier, younger Jeff Hardy. As of right now, I mean, both of them, I think, have that daredevil itch they can't get rid of. As Darby's taken off the end of March to go train some more for climbing Mount Everest. We'll follow that along on here as well.
More power to you, Darby. Good luck.
But maybe CM Punk had a right to be upset about them wanting to use real glass. And no, why use real glass? I don't know. It just, to me, it seemed unnecessary.
Yes.
An unnecessary part to the match that it didn't need. You take that out, and It doesn't make the match any worse. It doesn't make it any better, but it doesn't make it any worse. You take that out, and the match is probably better because it doesn't have that bull crap in it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can disagree if you want. Feel free to like, share, leave a comment. Want to thank everybody who's watching on the X tonight. Appreciate you all tuning in. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, we appreciate you there. Head on over to our YouTube page and give us a subscribe, like, and share while you're there, please. But no, the reason I went off on that diatribe, let us know what you think about Darby Allin and his ridiculous daredevil antics. Leave it in the comments, send us a message. DJ Jarvis disagrees and called us marks, but that's okay because we're still the FFSQC tag team champions.
Undisputed.
And I'll put those titles on the line anytime, anywhere. Joe Winkle, talking to you, looking at you.
Oh, CZ is the mark. Nick is never wrong.
Oh, well. Thanks, DJ.
The mark, the wizard CZ, or the wizard CZ, the mark?
Ooh, I'm going to have to think on that one.
Or you could go Mark Wizardson.
Mark Wizardson. Hi, I'm Mark Wizardson, and you're watching Card Subject to Change.
Hi, this is Mark Wizardson of the Card Subject to Change podcast, and you're listening to the Card Subject to Change podcast.
DJ threw this out there in a conversation we had earlier today. If The Rock is Diarrhea Dwayne, he asked me if I'm Constipated Chris because I can never get out what I'm trying to say.
Constipated Chris. Constipated Chris.
I don't like it. It doesn't have a good ring to it.
It doesn't have a good ring to it.
Whereas Mark Wizardson.
Mark Wizardson is $1 million name.
It really is.
You really should, from now on, should be Mark Wizardson.
Done. Right there. Done. Mark Wizardson, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching live, I am now Mark Wizardson.
Mark Wizardson. Mark Wizardson. Mark Wizardson.
Oh, I'm glad we waited till the end of the show to go off the rails. I really am.
I don't even know what match we're talking about. I think we were talking about Sting, but I can't remember correctly. I know we got on the path of Mark Wizardson, and things just whizzed out of the way from there.
Whizzed out of the way.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Okay.
Oh boy, Nick, let's give a little preview to some of our upcoming shows because we've got the rest of the month of March is fantastic in my opinion. Next week we have SCW Pros
with the programming notes. Here is CSTC's Mark Wizardson. Mark.
Yes, thank you, never wrong, Nick Bull. Mark Wizardson here. Coming up next week on Card Subject to Change, we have the Shadow Alpha, Augustus Draven, new member of The Chosen. The week after, we have Tag Team Photography's Clint Dye coming on the show. Following that up, we have FFSQC founding father Doug Green. Doug Green with the Booger Eater's Guide to Wrestling Part 2. And to close out the month of March, our good friend Timothy Regal. Tim Regal, everybody from SCW Pro, here to talk about all the things to watch on the independent scene WrestleMania weekend, which is what follows that. Nick, we've got we might as well spill the beans now. We've got a lot planned for WrestleMania, and I'm excited for everything that's going on in the build to that weekend.
It's the biggest show of the year. We got to pull out all the stops and have our biggest shows of the year. Card Subject to Change podcast will have a presence around WrestleMania weekend. Stay tuned to socials for that and updates in the future episodes we will have. We're the wrestling podcast for the fan by the fan, CZ. We always said we wanted to be that way, and that's the way we're always going to be. So for Mark Wizardson, I am never wrong, Nick Bull. We are the Card Subject to Change podcast. We are powered by Low Pies Pizza. We are built by Durham Remodeling. We are colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo. And we are nothing without our fans, the interactions, and, of course, answering questions and whatnot on social media. We appreciate everything we've gotten so far. We appreciate this show. We don't take a second of it for granted. And a lot of that has to do with the fans that tune in. And thank you for tuning in live tonight and listening.
And thank you for tuning in after the fact. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. But until next time, we're desperately out of time.
It's Steve!